I've spent over 20 years struggling with my body weight and I've made every single mistake in the book. But over the last 16 years, I've managed to lose 20 kilos and keep that off consistently for 16 years. Over the same amount of time, I've actually gone and shared my journey with other people, and I have a fitness studio for people over the age of 40, and I've helped hundreds of people over the age of 40 lose weight for themselves. I've helped them understand calories better, understand portion controls better, how to exercise and move better. But sadly, I've not been able to help everybody. I've not been able to help everybody because of these 10 brutal truths I'm about to share with you about what a weight loss journey actually looks like. I was actually on a diet since I was 10 years old, okay? That's a photograph of me on the photograph there. And it wasn't until I was 30, going through 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 when I realized, I needed to make a change for my health and fitness, because I come from a fairly overweight family. I always struggled with their weight, and I needed to break that mold. And when I got to New Zealand, I decided enough was enough. I needed a fresh start. And I want to share with you 10 truths that I've experienced, not just with myself and my members in my gym as well, and that are always going to be true. And you may not agree with all of them, but I can tell you from being in this journey, in the trenches with myself and other people, that these are always going to be true. And number one is going to be all diets work. You just can't stick to them. And you know this fundamentally yourself as well, that keto diet works, shakes diet work, vegetarian diets work, cutting carbs work. It all works, guys. But the thing of it is, you can't stick to it for long periods of time. And like people will say, I'm going to start a diet. And then they come off a diet, because when they start, they know they're going to stop. And one of the things I needed to understand was it's easy to lose weight. It's not easy to keep it off. And you just can't stick to that thing. And I'm going to go over in a minute, point number 3 anyway, about, what that actually looks like in real time. But all diets work. There's nothing magic. You just got to understand that it's a calories game, calories in versus calories out. And you got to, exercise. You've got to eat a little bit better, because so many of us have zero idea about how many calories we eat, and we got zero idea how many calories we burn as well. So all diets work, you just can't stick to them. So you've got to find a modality that works for you so that you can stick to that bloody diet, all right? Number 2, he who chases 2 rabbits catches none. You've got to decide to go all in on a health journey. So many people will go, I'm going to be good on Monday to Thursday, but I'm not going to be good Friday to Sunday. And I'm super guilty of this as well when I was doing my weight loss journey. And that we want to have the best of both worlds. You want to have the cake and eat it, but you can't. And studies have shown time and time again, not that there's many studies for long-term weight loss, but the ones that they've done and people have kept weight off for long periods of time, and I'll be one of those people as well, is that my diet is the same in the week as it is on the weekend. And I had to cut out alcohol, had to cut off junk food. I exercised on the weekend. I don't just rest. And you've got to understand that if you're trying to do 2 different lives, you're trying to jump in and do a little bit good this week, or trying to do keto for 4 days and then binge on the weekend, it's not going to work for you guys. He who chases 2 rabbits catches none. You literally have to go all in. You can't do 2 things at once, all right? It's impossible. And you can try, and you may get away with it for a little while, but it's not going to work long term. Number 3. Eat junk food, because the more familiar your diet is to the current way of eating, the better it's going to be for you at a time. So what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of people come into our facility, and when I sit down and I start to coach people, I'll say, like, what do you like to eat? I like to have wines and beers and chocolates. Okay, good. We're not going to cut that out, because if you cut that out, you want it more. And what I try and do, I get people to understand how many calories in the food that I eat, because I know as a personal trainer, I'm going to get them moving, they're going to do more cardio, they're going to be moving around. So that itself is going to help burning some extra calories off. So I'll say to people, well, look, let's just read some food labels at the back. Understand that glass of wine you have is 150 calories, or that burger you had on the weekend was 600 calories. And then put it into perspective and say, well, you need 18 to 1900 calories per day. And that burger is nearly maybe a third of your daily calories for the day. And I used to have a client that was eating a very healthy shake in the morning. And when you put the peanut butter and the milk and the fruit and all the other stuff, it came to 800 calories. It was way about half of his calorie intake. And when I shone some light on that, he was able to make, I understand it's a budget, and it's going to, I need to spend some money on other things. So, you literally got to try and stick with some of the old foods that you like, but just understand how many calories there is and understand your budget. And when you do that, you can actually be more successful for longer periods of time because the diet that you're following is similar to the one that you like. If you try something super brand new, like let's just say you love to eat carbs and then you're going to go keto, you're not going to stick with keto for a long time because you enjoy carbs, right? So you got to kind of eat some of that junk food, eat some of the foods that you like so that you can be successful. Just understand that everything has a calorie limit to it. Number 4, you don't need to count macros. And I went through this really obsessively for a long time. I was counting macros, 30% fat, 35% protein, 35% carbs. I was really, really obsessed with the whole thing. I needed to get those numbers right. And you really don't need to do that. What you actually need to do is understand your total amount of calories for the week and the day. Sorry, the day, not the week so much. And then you may prioritize protein a little bit. And when you prioritize protein just a little bit, you're starting to eat less of the high calorie dense foods from carbs and fats as well. And it gives you a really good understanding. So you don't need to dive in and track your macros to the absolute max. You literally just got to understand how many calories and maybe prioritize protein as well as you go forward. So don't have the stress of counting macros. Number 5, you have to understand that your calories, you really need to understand. I know I just mentioned it before, but if you don't understand your calories, you're never going to be successful. And what I mean by that is that you may use a tracking app like MyFitnessPal, and you might be going through it and you might say, oh, I'm going to pop a banana in there, right? But the thing of it is, that MyFitnessPal log that you found, it may say one banana is worth 100 calories. But if your banana is 200 calories and the portion size that you chose in MyFitnessPal is 100 calories, you've eaten 200 calories despite logging it as 1. And you might say you had a ham sandwich for lunch and you just find a generic ham sandwich in MyFitnessPal. But it doesn't know that, and it may say it's 300 calories, but when you actually use your 2 slices of bread, which is 200 calories, and your ham, which is 100, and your mayonnaise, which is 100, and your, whatever you put in there, all of a sudden, that sandwich is now 500 to 600 or 700 calories, but you've only logged 300, right? So you may log it a certain way, but your body knows exactly what you eat, whether you track it right or not. And if you understand your calories, understand the food labels, understand that if a food label says 25 grams equals 100 calories, right? Then you've got to weigh out to 25 grams. Because 50 grams is 200 calories. But if you only track 100 calories and you do that 3 or 4 times a day, you could be 300 to 500 calories over what you think you've eaten, like without even understanding, and then you go, oh well, it doesn't work, right? So you got to understand your calories. That is the biggest thing I want you guys to understand. And you may not agree with it, but I promise you, from tracking 25,000 meals on MyFitnessPal, like no shit, like I know, and after coaching hundreds and hundreds of people, it is always a calories game. You need to understand that. Number 6, exercise is a tool, right? But you've got to differentiate a little bit of exercise from weight loss, because exercise itself is a great tool. It accounts for about 10% of your daily calorie expenditure when you look on the TDE chart. So let's just say you eat 2,000 calories a day, then you burn off about 200 calories a day by exercise. It isn't actually that much, but you exercise for different reasons. You exercise to build muscle, to build ligament strength, to build durability, mobility. You then exercise doing cardio to look after your heart health and increase your cardiovascular system so that you can live a better quality of life if you get older and have the energy to do the things that you love to do. So although exercise is a great way to burn some calories off, you shouldn't try and beast yourself in the gym or do tons of exercise to burn a load of calories off, because it's not that effective. It is way more effective not to eat 200 calories than it is to try and do a 20-minute walk or a run to burn those calories off. It is more time efficient to reduce those calories from food. Now, exercise, I love it. I love to exercise, and I encourage my clients to exercise for a whole bunch of different reasons more than weight loss. But saying that, if you were to burn off 200 to 300 calories per day by going to the gym and walking, that could account to maybe a whole day of eating by the end of the week. So it does give you a little bit of wiggle room to eat the odd treat or eat a bit more food if you want, if you are exercising. But don't rely on exercise. So many people beast themselves in the gym, work really, really hard, and the scales doesn't actually move because they haven't paid attention to the calories in portion, which is your sort of, the eating side of things. Now, if you're struggling, you have no idea where to start with health and fitness in terms of strength training, I've got a free resource guide that's been downloaded by probably nearly a couple of hundred people now on my YouTube channel. and people are really enjoying it. And all you have to do is comment strength down below, and I will send you a cardio and weight training plan that you can do for free. It only takes about, an hour and a half of weight training per week and about 150 minutes of cardio per week, and that's going to be plenty to get you started. So comment strength, I'll send that over to you. Number 7, sleep is way more important than you think. So many of our members will literally try and burn the candle at both ends. Remember, you can't chase two rabbits, you're going to end up catching none. If you're trying to stay up till midnight every night and then try and get up at 5, 6 in the morning to go to work, you're always going to be tired. And when you're tired, what happens is your hunger hormones are not adjusted right. Ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone, will be elevated because you're tired. I used to be a chauffeur. I was a police officer for 21 years, and for the best part of 14 or 15 years of the last time I was in the police, I actually lost all my weight before I left and became a personal trainer and owned a gym. And I was always battling with hunger. But when I understood my calories and I was tracking it, I could put some logic around it and go, well, I've only got 2,000 calories a day to eat, and I could stop that or choose foods that would help keep me full. But if you're not sleeping, you will be hungry. Ghrelin is a very powerful hormone. And if you are really, really tired, it's very hard to overcome ghrelin, okay? Really difficult. I'll come and punch you in the face, as Greg Doucette likes to say. But you got to understand that if you want to start being healthy, sleep is so important. It helps regenerate. But most importantly, I found, apart from all the other good benefits of sleep, it actually helps manage your hunger, which is a big thing. Plus, if you go to bed at 10 o'clock, not 12, there's 2 hours where you're not eating on the couch because you're bored. Big one, saving a bunch of calories by sleeping. Number 8. Now, this is interesting. A lot of people say that come into our studio anyway that, my metabolism is broken and therefore I can't lose weight. Now, your metabolism, actually, studies done to say that between 20 and 60, your metabolism doesn't change. It's the same capacity as it has in its 20. Now, what that means is that your metabolism does slow for sure, but it slows not because of age. It slows because of decline in muscle mass. So if you're after the age of 30 to 60, what'll happen is you will lose about 1% of your muscle mass every single year. So over the course of 30 years, you might lose 30% of your muscle mass, which is massive. It is very much the difference between being independent and living life and walking up mountains and whatnot, right, and playing with your grandkids. So you've got to understand that your metabolism doesn't actually slow down. It only slows down because you've lost your muscle mass. And that is why strength training is so important. And people that strength train, they're able to, burn more calories at rest. It's an active tissue. And like I said, if you want a copy of a strength program, just comment strength. I'll send that over to you as well. Number 9, we're going to look at people only look at their fitness in 6 or 3 or 12-week blocks. Your health and fitness is a lifetime span, and you've got to lift your eyes up from looking at, the first 4 to 6 weeks to actually a lifetime. And when you understand that, it becomes less of a rush. And let's just say you only lose half a kilo per week for a year. It's a huge amount of weight to be losing, like 25, 30 kilos or whatever. But if you're always trying to rush and you can't get there, and you have an arbitrary sort of timeline that you need to lose 20 kilos from, and you fail, you feel disheartened. If you think of it like a marathon or a sprint, it's way easier to lose the weight and keep it off because you're looking for long term. And that's one of the biggest key things I have found losing my weight for 16 years. I lost the weight in the first sort of 12 months, and I've kept it off for 15 years now, because I then realized it's a marathon or a sprint. As long as I keep doing daily things, hitting off daily goals, exercising all the time, understanding my calories and portion sizes, if I do that long enough, then I know I'm going to be successful. It's not a mad rush to, that I'm putting pressure on myself unnecessarily. Number 10, you need some accountability. So when I first started off doing my health and fitness stuff, I was doing home workouts on a DVD with a DVD called P90X. And that's what I did for about 9 to 12 months. And I remember Tony Horton in the video going, just keep pressing play, keep pressing play. And that was my motivation. And I remember being accountable to that. But I also understood what my goal was. My goal was to never be fat again. That was key. And you've got to find that goal for yourself. And not being fat again, it could be like, my goals have changed over the years. So it is like, I've got a 13-year-old son now, so I want to be healthy and fit for him, okay? But when I lost weight at first, I didn't want to be fat again, and I wanted to have a lifestyle change. So whatever goal that is for you, you've got to start thinking, what is my real driver? It's not just to lose 5 or 10 kilos to fit into your jeans or look good in a bikini. it's because you don't feel confident, that you feel like you've let yourself down, or you're letting other people down, or you want to be a role model to your children, or whatever that is. But you've got to understand, you've got to have a big reason why. And every single day, you've got to remind yourself of that why. I don't want to be fat again. I want to be more confident. I want to look sexy, whatever that is. And you remember it. And what I do for our members at the gym as well, I make them write their goals down and I make them read it every single day. And I can see people that have read their goals for 120, 300 days at a time. They're the most successful because they're the most on track towards their goals, towards their vision of what a healthy lifestyle looks like. And that is super, super key. That is the most successful thing. Accountability is the glue that puts the rest of it together, and it comes in many forms. It could be a personal trainer, it could be a family member, it could be you've had a health scare and that you're trying to avoid going back that way. Well, whatever it is, you got to have some form of accountability. Now, that was my 10 brutal truths about weight loss. All of them are valid. There may be others. You may agree with some, may not agree with others, okay? And I appreciate that. I'd love you to comment let me know what you agree, what you don't agree with. And if you are somebody that's really, really struggling with your weight or your health and fitness journey, then, look to these bits of advice so that you can be successful. All of them will work for you. I see it time and time again. And if you do want a copy of my training program, you can hit strength and I'll send that over to you. Now I'm going to leave a video up in the top right hand corner, which is actually a walkthrough. I'm going to be your personal trainer for the day. I'm going to walk you through 7 or so dumbbell exercises that you could do at home maybe, or in the gym in a quiet corner. Follow that one. That's going to be a great start for you as well. And again, you can get that resource in a PDF if you wanted to, but otherwise head over to that video and I'll see you soon.